Manchester United play Everton today, and a win is very much needed to help us cement our position in that top four and hopefully get Champions League football. And in today's video, we're going to talk about Michael Carrick. I've been hearing a few stories about Michael Carrick, and it's exactly what I want to hear about the changes he's implementing in the squad, the impact that he has on the player, the manager that he is. Will Michael Carrick be the guy that can get us Champions League football, which I think would be a good achievement this season? I think because we are out of the first round of the FA Cup and the first round of the Carabao Cup that we played in, we have 40 games all season. I feel like we almost have to get Champions League football with how few games we've played and how badly we've done in domestic cup competitions. But at the beginning of the season, we were all thinking we were going to come like 7th or 8th. So I think if we get top 4, that would be great. But let's talk about Carrick. Let's talk about the impact of Carrick, because Nathan Salt and Chris Wheeler of the Daily Mail have come out and done a detailed report on sort of, what Carrick is doing and the impact of him in many ways, not just the academy, but on man management, the first team, and how the players are responding to Carrick. If you do enjoy today's video, feel free to hit that like button, and of course you're welcome to subscribe if you're new. If you want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, I do daily content. But Chris Wheeler and Nathan Salt said this: Carrick's move mirrors Solskjaer's after Mourinho's 2018 exit. Solskjaer countered Mourinho's negativity, and Carrick is refreshing after Amorim's tenure. Though not as toxic as Mourinho, Amorim's handling of Maino and public comments caused issues. Carrick's success on field and silence off it has pleased the club's management. So we're going to talk about 4 or 5 things that Carrick has done that has really got people on side at Manchester United. And one of it is that Ruben Amorim put a bit of a downer on the club. He wasn't as toxic as a Mourinho. In fact, Ruben Amorim, I think, generally for the dressing room was quite good in terms of the fact that he got rid of some of the egos in Garnacho. He brought in the right kind of players. And I actually felt the dressing room was one of the best it's been under Amorim. But Amorim was a bit of a downer in the dressing room in the fact that he kind of kept saying the same thing over and over again, kept doing the same thing over and over again. In training, it was the same thing over and over again. And it was kind of described as monotonous and the same thing, and it's just not working. And that was sort of how Amorim was described. And then he was a bit rude when it came to Maino and the younger players, and the way that he would maybe address that in press conferences, as we know, there was a little bit of a downer in the dressing room under Amorim, but it wasn't toxic like Mourinho. But Michael Carrick's kind of come in. Obviously, the players respect him because of what he's achieved with the club as a player, but he's also come in and been a good man manager and connects with the players well, and he's kind of boosted the mood a bit, which definitely helps. But not just that, Chris Wheeler and Nathan Salt said a few other interesting things in regards to Michael Carrick. Carrick speaks to players immediately after games and has been seen as more approachable than Amorim. There's a strong backroom dynamic with Woodgate, Holland and Evans as well, and the training is more individual focused, and Carrick and Holland are very hands-off. Obviously, Woodgate speaks Spanish, we know that from other reports as well, and Evans has helped, Woodgate's helped. Everybody that's come in has worked well together. It's not just Michael Carrick's done this. We know that about Steve Holland and all the extra work that he's been doing behind the scenes tactically, analysis-wise as well. But one of the interesting things that Chris Wheeler says is that Carrick speaks to players immediately after the game. He definitely communicates with players more than maybe what Ruben Amorim did, and he chats to them more. And we know that the players have obviously taken a strong liking to Carrick. We've seen Cunha's comments about Carrick, Lamon's comments about Carrick, but also Carrick's backroom team they seem to like. Now, I'm not going to be critical of Amorim. I think one of Amorim's best things he did, it was in the sense of, I think, helping the dressing room and get the players on side. And I think a lot of those players did generally like Amorim. But I think Carrick has come across as a man manager that's maybe better at communicating, that's a better man manager than Amorim in the sense of getting the players on side and motivating them. Because I think while Amorim, was all about tactics, of course, are important, but you've also got to be able to get your team motivated and ready to play for you. And I think Carrick's done that well. That said, there was games under Amorim where the players should have just done way more than they actually did. Like, when you actually think about it, like Amorim, yes, he needs to motivate the players, but those players play for Man United. They should be motivated anyway. Chris Wheeler and Nathan Salt also said that although Carrick comes across as being reserved in public, one of the former United stars who played under him during the 3 games that he was caretaker under Solskjaer in 2021 said that his halftime talks were among the best he'd heard in his career and inspired players to go into battle for him against Villarreal, Chelsea and Arsenal. So There's more talk about Carrick's team talks and how it's kind of inspired players to go into battle for him. The Arsenal game, we came out great in the second half. The City game, we came out great in the second half. The Fulham game wasn't the best second half, but we responded well with Sesko coming off the bench. The West Ham game, we were better in the second half once we went 1-0 down, but we couldn't have been any worse than the first half. And the Tottenham game was a good second half, but maybe a bit slow. Maybe we took it too easy. So that was interesting comments there. But again, Carrick had been described by one of the players in the dressing room that was there in 2021 as having some of the best halftime team talks. And I think Carrick is coming in as an interim. Carrick's coming in to try and help us get top four. Tactics all you want. The most important thing Carrick can do is be a good man manager, motivate the players, get the players on side. Like, that's a really important thing for Carrick to do. And it seems like he's doing that. Of course, we may lose to Everton. We may go into a spiral of negativity tomorrow. Who knows? But, I'm just reading the reports. I'm just reading what's been said to us. And of course, I'm not stupid. Ineos will be putting out loads of positive briefs on Carrick for PR. I'm not stupid, but I like Carrick. He's doing a good job, and I'm going to read the reports on him and how the players are buying into it because I'm interested on that. But of course, Ineos will be loving these kind of stories because it is good PR for them. Another thing that Chris Wheeler and Nathan Salt mentioned in regards to Carrick, and this has been mentioned by many people, is that Carrick has made training sessions shorter. They're more intense, they're more short sessions, and they're more focused on individuals rather than what Amrin did, was sort of like longer, lower intensity sessions. Carrick is a higher intensity session, more specific to something that's a little bit shorter. Home arrivals is now 1 hour 45 before kickoff. Under Ten Hag, we'd arrive 4 hours before kickoff. Now we arrive 1 hour 45 before kickoff. Apparently that's to do with just coming into Old Trafford when there's a good atmosphere and fans are there. And away routines are adjusted, obviously, as well, depending on the match. But interestingly, one of the big things that's been said about Michael Carrick is his academy involvement, which is, as much as people like to bring it down, part of Man United's DNA. People talk about Carrick having the Man United DNA, and they don't really know what it means. And that is more because Carrick is taking off defenders and bringing on attackers as subs. Carrick is making attacking substitutions. Even when we're leading, he's making attacking-minded substitutions, bringing on Sesko, for example. So that's why people talk about Carrick having United DNA, because he always kind of wants to be attacking and win games, but also is ready to throw on the youth. And it has been said by The Sun that Man United's academy stars and their parents are delighted by Carrick. The source said that Carrick has been a regular at the training ground following the progression of his son, and he is a lovely, welcoming guy who always has time for everyone, and parents were appalled by Amrin's comments. Now, we know Amrin made comments about the academy players, kind of called them entitled, upset a few people, and, I think when we're looking to try and keep our best academy stars like JJ Gabriel and stuff, and Amrin makes those comments, it's not exactly what Manchester United want. And I think Michael Carrick coming in and not only showing a big interest in the academy, but making positive comments about the academy is also really good for Man United. Michael Carrick, in his interview, actually was asked why he attends so many academy games, and he said this: "It's extremely important for me to go to academy matches. It also comes from what I experienced myself. I made my debut at West Ham with Harry Redknapp as manager, and at the time Frank Lampard Sr. as assistant manager, and that helped me out a lot. One of my biggest experiences was playing in the youth club. We were playing at York, and it's quite a long way from London. It was a Tuesday night, and Frank Lampard Sr. as assistant manager came to watch us play, and that's something I still remember to this day, even though it was many years ago. I understand my responsibility and my role, but actually for everyone at the club, the academy is important. We want players to come through the system and try and break into the first team, so it's important for me and the staff to support that as much as possible." And I love that comment from Carrick. When he was a young player, seeing an assistant manager come watch him and travel, make that journey was really important. So he wants to make that journey. He understands that the academy is important. You want to integrate them into the first team and give them as much support as possible. And I thought that was a really good comment from Carrick, He's not going to throw academy players in for the sake of it, but he's going to watch academy players so he knows what they're capable of. And every now and then, bring in academy players. And if he watches academy players, it helps support them, because not only does it help motivate them, but it lets them know that Carrick is watching. And, I think with Ruben Amorim, because he didn't watch the academy, he threw Jack Fletcher in at right wing when he had Shea Lacey on the bench, who was a right winger. And maybe that's because Amorim didn't know, because he never really watched the academy. Whereas with Michael Carrick, because he's watched the academy, he kind of knows the players and what their best position is and everything. And I think I like the fact that, Carrick has a strong liking towards the academy, is following the academy and knows the club well. Now, I'm not saying we have to give Carrick the job. I think we have to wait until end of April to see how he does. But I think there's a lot of positive signs since Carrick has come in that has got a lot of the fans on side, and I like what I'm hearing. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.